I'm Dana K. White. I am the author of Decluttering at the Speed of Life, as well as other books. And today I am going to dive in to the last step of my 5-step no mess decluttering process. Today I'm going to demonstrate to you what it means to make it fit in the decluttering process, okay? This is the 5th step. This is the step for after all the stuff that has no business being there is gone, and you're down to having things in the space that, yes, absolutely, they should go there. They are not obviously things that need to be donated, and yet there's still not enough space. What does it mean to make it fit? So I call this the container concept. Step 5 is implementing the container concept, and it is decluttering down to the point where things fit usably, get-to-ably, and functionally in that space, okay? But a lot of times when people hear make it fit, they think what I would have thought years ago, which was, how can I shove more into this space? That's what I naturally did, was stick things all around and wampajawed in the space. Before I get started on really explaining this, let me just give a few little things for those of you who I know are starting to hyperventilate because books are the thing that in your mind can't be decluttered. Totally get that, right? I mean, like, that was exactly the way I used to think. Books are a good thing, so they can't be clutter. Right? I mean, I love to read. However, I had to accept that anything that consistently got out of control in my home was clutter. If I tried to keep more stuff than would fit in the space that I had, there was no hope of my house ever being under control. And in fact, the reason why I had never been able to keep my house under control was that I was always trying to keep all the stuff with no regard for the actual realities of the space that I had, okay? So this is the container concept. Space is finite. I can only keep what will fit in that space. Yes, containers are the thing that you think of when you think of container concept, but the reason I call it the container concept is that it actually is a fact of science, nature, whatever, that just applies to all spaces, right? So while bins and buckets and tubs are referred to as containers, I realized, oh, their purpose is to determine how much stuff can stay without it getting out of control. But also, every space in my house is a container. Every room, every shelf, every drawer, every closet, every finite space is a container. And the freedom in that is that I don't have to say, I'm getting rid of this item because I don't love it. Or I'm getting rid of this item because I legitimately will never use it. Y'all, those questions, asking myself, how do I feel about it? Or will it ever be useful to me? Will I ever use it? Do I use it? Whatever. Those questions are the things that make my brain spin out because I have a naturally very creative brain that I used to use to hold on to stuff, right? Like that, and I still try to, but like I can come up with a reason how I could use this. And so that was just too difficult for me in the decluttering process. I had so much stuff to get rid of, right? So this is my demo shelf, okay? So you see here, I've got books, I've got things shoved up on top, things shoved up in the front. But for those of you who are immediately panicked because I'm talking about books, just know this is an example. It applies to everything. So don't worry about books necessarily. Like take that out of this equation and just say, this is going to be a demonstration of what it means to make it fit as part of the no mess decluttering process, okay? This is actually staged. I went and gathered things. All of these books are actually gonna stay in my house because they have real established homes in my house. This is for demonstration purposes, all right? So if there's a book that you hate that's on there, or there's a book that you absolutely love that that's not what we're doing here. And please just really get into the actual demonstration of what we're doing, because here's the beauty of it. it takes the emotions out of it, right? That's why we do this. Okay, so what does it mean to make it fit? Well, as I said, this is step 5 of my 5-step No Mess Decluttering process. So by the time you get to this step, you have already been in this space for a little bit. You've already made some progress, okay? The first step that we did was we took out trash, right? So in my stage thing, I put a little trash in here, which I found when I looked in my drawer where I would have looked for this first. Anyway, it's dead, it's broken, right? So this is trash. I'm gonna get it out of there. The second step is easy stuff that has an established home somewhere else in the house. For whatever reason, it ended up on this shelf, because that's what happens, especially when the shelf is out of control, right? All right, so, okay, my screwdriver, right? For whatever reason, it's here, but it has an established home, so I'm gonna go take it there right now. Third step is obvious donations, things that I'm like, well, duh, of course that can go. This obvious donation, it's a hair tie. I can just stick it in my donate box that's right here, right? I'm gonna also look through and see, are there any obvious donations here? Like books that I hated, whatever. I'm not gonna ask myself those questions. I'm just gonna say, is there anything here that's a decision-free donation? No. Why? Because I love books, right? So I'm gonna say no, there's no decision-free donations here. After that, I'm gonna go through, and if there's stuff there that isn't obvious, it isn't trash, it isn't easy, then I'm gonna ask myself the question, if I needed this, where would I look for it first, okay? And I'm gonna go and I'm gonna put that there. But at this point in this process, step 5, I am down to just books. Just books that I would look for on this shelf, right? I know, again, remember, there's space up here, but we're just doing this as a demonstration. Let's say that this is the only space that you have, right? I didn't want to fill up this entire thing, and I don't think I actually have enough books anymore to fill up the whole entire thing. But at this point in the process, I am at the step where I implement the container concept. I am going to declutter down to the point where everything fits in this space. Now, I used to say, well, this fits, right? It fits. It's all technically, I mean, this one's kind of, let's see if I stick it right there, it's technically all in this space. Fits. Except that my house still wasn't functional, right? So when I say make it fit, what I mean for myself and for you, you know, if you need the help, is I need it to fit functionally, get-to-ably in this space. Okay, so it's not a matter of how much can I shove in there. It's a matter of this space functioning. And the books in front of the books prevent it from functioning. Right? Like, that's just truth. If I have to move this book first to get to these books, then it's not actually functional. And even if I didn't have those on there, let me just tell you, because I know, because I shoved them in there, when I go to pull these out, they're very difficult to get out of here because I shoved them in so hard, right? So it's functional and get-to-able. So it's not shoving in. It doesn't mean shove it in, make it fit. It means make it fit and it be functional and get-to-able, okay? All right, so that is what we're doing, but there's a process for actually doing it, okay? Because I know for me, I'm less overwhelmed because I got out the other stuff that was easy to get out, the trash, the easy stuff, the dead donations, right? That stuff is gone. I'm a little less overwhelmed, but I'm still overwhelmed by this, right? And to just say, get rid of your least favorites, it's kind of hard because I look at it and I don't have any least favorites. I'm still going to ask myself that question, like, is there anything here that I like less than the others that I can just get rid of easily now that I understand my goal is to make this space functional, right? But there's actually a process for that. So the first part of this process is consolidate. Put like items together. So this is step 5.1, right? Like this is the first part of step 5. I'm gonna put like items together. So what that means is, let's see. I am going to put my Harry Potters together. Okay. Now, if you'll notice here, I am actually not gonna pull everything out. I know, it feels like you need to pull everything out, but for the No Mess Decluttering process, I never pull everything out. Why? Because that always ends in disaster. Every time I think this time is gonna be different, I'm gonna have to just stick with it, I'm gonna have to just push through, I always end up frustrated and mad at myself that I did it, so I never pull everything out. So one item at a time, I put like items together. So I've got 2 Harry Potters together. There, here's another Harry Potter. See, this is what I mean by it not being functional. I can't get this one out without doing a bunch of maneuvering. Okay, oh my word, right? Because here's the thing. There are people in this world, like my mother, who would be able to get an item out of a difficult space and move everything neatly back. I am not that person. That is over my clutter threshold, so I can't have stuff shoved in. All right, so I'm gonna put this Harry Potter with these other Harry Potters, and as I'm doing, wait a minute, that was acting, did you get it? As I'm doing that, I realize, oh, I have 2 book 7s. Before, when I just looked, I'm like, well, there's Harry Potter on that shelf, and there's Francine Rivers on that shelf, and there's, you know, whatever his name, Larson on that shelf that my husband loves to read. Like, I'm like, no, there's all these, I love everything on there. But when I'm consolidating, I see, oh, I've got 2 book 7s. And one of them has the book jacket. So suddenly, this becomes a non-emotional donation. Okay, so I can stick this in my donate box. I'm not going to because it's my daughter's. It came from her shelves and she has room. But I am going to put this in the donation box because of the process of consolidating. It naturally revealed to me with no emotions that, oh, I actually have 2 of these. Okay, so donation box. I feel like I'm being very intense today. Sorry about that. I'm smiling. I'm so easygoing. I am the most easygoing. Anyway, all right, so let's see. Anything else that I can put together? Well, let's see. Here's as parts of a series that are my daughters. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put that series together. How in the world did I pull something out and it still feels so tight, right? All right, oh, here's another Harry Potter up on the top. Okay, so I go put the other Harry Potter and I realize, oh, I've actually got 2 of book 6. I've got 2 of book 6. So, you know what? This cover is a little creased. And so this one is gonna be my donation in this hypothetical scenario. All right, okay. So I just got rid of 2 very large books just because I went through that process of consolidating, okay? All right, so other consolidating, this is part of a series, so I have books 1, 2, and 3. Okay, see, it's still very difficult to get things in there, which means I need to have less stuff. Okay, so that's what I'm going for here. These up here are, I need to fit them in somewhere, right? So I'm gonna put this with my daughter's books, but it's not gonna, man, it's not gonna fit. What? Okay. Let's see. Oh, wait. As I go to put it in and I realize it doesn't fit, I say, okay, well then what in here am I willing to get rid of in order to keep this one? And then I realize, oh wait, I've already read this one. I'm probably not gonna read it again. This one can go, okay? But because I am using the space as something outside of me, something non-emotional, something fact-based, then that's when this is revealed to me, where before it was like, it's a book and I love books. I love that book, okay, has to stay. But when I say this space is the space that I have, then because I'm touching things anyway and putting things away as I consolidate, that's when I realize, oh wait, this is actually a donation. Okay, let's see. Get this in here. okay, I go to put this away that was shoved up here, and it's an absolute beginner's guide to keeping backyard chickens. Because there's no space for it, my brain goes, it's gonna be a long time, if ever, before I get my backyard chickens. There's no space for it when it's that ambiguous. But if I had just looked at every book and held it up and said, will I use this? Do I use this? Do I need this? Do I whatever? How do I feel about it? Oh, y'all, I have plans for backyard chickens someday, one of these days. But that makes my brain spin out and then makes me resentful and makes me resist actually doing the decluttering, because I'm like, well, if I get rid of this, then I'm giving up on my identity as the person who's one day gonna have backyard chickens, right? But because I am looking at the space, I say I can keep anything. If I want to keep backyard chickens, I can keep backyard chickens. So what am I going to get rid of for backyard chickens? I don't want to get rid of anything for backyard chickens, because realistically, I'll probably just, do my research another way. I'll probably either go looking for a chicken book that I want or look online or whatever, okay? So then I'm willing to get rid of this, because I'm not just asking myself the questions about usefulness and how I feel. I'm saying, this is the space that I've got. Things have to fit. Okay, Little Women. Oh, love this one. Isn't it beautiful? I think we actually got this at the Orchard House. It's big though, but it's a for sure, absolutely, it deserves space in my house. And let's say that this is the only space that I have. Okay. This one deserves space, even though it's humongous. What deserves space less than this? So it's not a matter of me not liking something. It's just a matter of, what am I willing to get rid of in order to keep this thing that I really, really want? Well, then I look at things and they look different to me. And I say, okay, actually, I am willing to get, oh wait, and I look and I realize, oh, I actually had 2 copies of this same book, and these all match each other a little bit, and this one doesn't, so that can go. That turned out it was easy, because I'm going through this process, not trying to convince myself and push myself to get rid of things that I really love, but instead just saying, you know what, I love this one, what can I get rid of to make space for it? Okay, so still need to get rid of more for this. Let's do this one, okay? It's arbitrary, but whatever. Now I've got space for my Little Women book. Okay, so now I've got this book, and I go, okay, what am I willing to get rid of in order to keep this book, to make the space for it? And I realize, actually, I don't care as much about that book, right? So I'm down to this, but I still have one up here. And I realize, okay, this is my beautiful friend Mike Willen's book. And I think, okay, what is it? What am I willing to get rid of in order to keep this book? Okay, yeah. Y'all, I'm not saying that you aesthetically should put a book this size on this shelf, okay? Just know that. But I really love this book, and so I was willing to get rid of the other book in order to keep it. And now it all fits, right? And it's get toable and it's functional, because I was able to pull that out without moving and maneuvering and jiggling and shoving and all that, okay? So this is how we do the make it fit, okay? Make it fit does not mean shove it in. Make it fit does not mean cram it in. What can I cram in? That's not functional, right? It has to be functional. So what does make it fit mean? It means I have to get rid of things, even though I may love them, even though they may actually be useful. I have to get rid of things until what I have fits usably and functionally, okay, in this space. That, taking the emotions out of it, lets me be okay with getting rid of some things that I totally maybe would have wanted to keep. But because I get to blame the space and say, this is the space that I've got, the space that I have is the space that I have, the size of my shelf is the size of my shelf. If I try to keep more than will functionally, get toably, accessibly fit in this space, then there is no hope of this space ever staying under control, right? Because when I can easily get out what I need and put back what I need, then the space is so much more likely to stay under control. All right, so that's the basics of what it means to make it fit. I hope that was helpful. I'll talk to you later. Bye.